on Golan's Garage.
And
Guest of honor.
and
Yes.
what was the joke though that you were going
Yes,
to tell
I had
me?
a joke. In the spirit of Christmas,
Uh-huh.
what do you call somebody who's afraid of Santa?
Santa Claus? No. Elves? No. Right. Rudolph the Red-Nosed? No. What do we call?
Claustrophobic. Claustrophobic.
That wasn't a very good joke, you know that. Yeah. What's up, people? Welcome to Golan's Garage, a place where we talk about facts and feelings. I am Golan, your host, and today I have with me an amazing guest. And she actually upgraded herself from being the co-host to now being a guest. She was a co-host in the episode number 2 where Hassan came, and last time I did not have an introduction prepared for her, but this time, as a surprise, I have the best introduction prepared for her. She is a dear friend of mine, a lady with many talents, namely the best planner out of all. She undoubtedly is the best planner I can see on the entire planet. She's a beauty idol, a fashionista, a world traveler who has traveled more than 20 countries, a person who has more than a social media following of 10,000 people. She is a product manager at Microsoft, and most important, I'll prove the last quality trait that she has. She has the most beautiful voice of all.
Oh, God.
Mahek and I, yay!
Wow, I'm absolutely flattered with that introduction.
But do you know why I called you the lady with the most beautiful voice of all?
I don't know. Somehow you've heard me sing here and there, and you're just attached to it.
Okay. So this is something which there's something which people don't know
I
about
know
you.
I have that effect on people.
Just share something, please. Just sing something, anything at all.
Okay, what should I sing?
Literally anything.
Prakash Deep Singh Golan.
Hey, can you introduce Golan's Garage in that voice, please?
Everybody, welcome to Prakash Deep Singh Golan's Garage.
That's amazing, dude. I might
Oh
like.
my God, is this going on the internet?
That is going on the internet, and the entire world is going to know how amazing of a voice you have. And
America's Got Talent, I'm coming for you.
America's got useless talent. Not useless talent, but it's actually a very good talent, and I really
Thank you, Blake.
love your voice. Yeah, thank you so much, Blake. But
Thank you.
back to
Just kidding.
But back to the main attraction of the show, the beauty queen, the fashionista, Miss Mahek Hooda. Mahek, how's your life been so far?
It's been really good. I would say going through COVID has been a very a very interesting journey for me to sort of like learn about myself and figure out a little bit more about who I am. But overall, I feel like I've been thriving, and I'm super excited to be
How
here.
old are you? You're 20.
I just turned 25.
You turned 25?
Yes.
Wow, yay!
Thank
Happy
you.
happy
Quarter
belated
of
happy
a
birthday.
century.
Quarter of a century. So did you have the quarter life crisis? Up until now, have you had quarter life crisis?
I think I have quarter life crisis a lot, and I've started to feel very comfortable with the fact that it's okay to not know and not feel like you're achieving exactly what you want to be achieving all the time. So when I said I'm thriving, I feel like I'm coming to a little bit more comfort, that it's okay to feel a little bit in disarray. It's okay to feel like you are still getting things together, because that's what life is. You'll never have everything truly together. So I
but
feel
you can like thrive to actually get everything. Isn't that true?
I think nothing will ever be perfect, or at least in my head, I've always been like a very type A, very perfectionist personality, and I feel like that's actually caused me more stress than it has joy in my life. And I'm really working towards, like having a lot of comfort within discomfort, and like feeling okay. And it's I still feel like I'm not fully there yet. Like there's still times where I like really somehow get into these modes in my head that I have no idea what I'm doing. I am kind of like failing, and then I realize, you know what, I am actually like doing the best that I can every single day. And then I try to be thankful, and I realize it's okay to feel this way. Like literally everyone feels this way, and if they don't, then they're not telling you the truth, because everyone has moments where they feel like they're absolutely have no clue what's going on in their life.
I totally agree with that. There are times when I'm super motivated to the point that
and it ebbs and flows.
Yeah, it's like I have basic crescents. Like sometimes I'm so high on energy that I can like achieve everything in the world. But sometimes I feel so low that I just want to lay on the bed and do nothing. Just lie down and like just relax as such. Or maybe get a massage as well.
And I never used to understand the word relaxing, and I think I'm still coming into terms with that. And it doesn't have to be you sleeping around. It could be you doing a hobby that you enjoy, or hanging out with friends, or watching a Christmas movie. But I've started to really get comfortable with the fact that I don't always have to be on the go. I don't always have to be like this reach this level in my head. I can be okay with the fact that I am a work in progress.
That's amazing. So you said you had a couple of realizations this year or during this pandemic, right? Can you share some insights and like what did you learn? What was your previous ideology, and like what are you learning right now? And what is the current state of Miss Mahek Hooda right now?
I think the top 3 things that I've learned, number 1 is the value of relationships. I feel like and a lot of people took that for granted before COVID. And I feel
Are you
like
single? No, you spoke about relationships.
No,
right?
I meant like relationships with everyone, just
Okay.
like in general human relationships.
Okay.
And so I feel like when I was in college, I was so focused on graduating and getting an amazing job and like traveling and checking all these things off my list that I really didn't pay a lot of attention to developing deep and meaningful, colorful, vibrant friendships that matter to me, where I can really show people my layers and get to know other people's layers and have it be mutual. I feel like I didn't care to do that. And I feel like during the pandemic, I realized that I really want to invest in that. And I feel like when I moved to Seattle, I was focusing a lot on breath. And when I mean breath, like meeting a lot of variety of different people and really extending myself. And I think that's okay when you're first moving to a city, but I don't think I left that depth. I would continuously want to go to different events, want to meet different people. And then during this pandemic, I realized that there's only a handful of people that you can really get close to and really spend a lot of time in developing those relationships. And so I feel like I started to develop those relationships with a couple of friends. I spent the very beginning...
Can you define friends for me?
Yeah,
because my definition of friends is very different than what other people claim friends to be. So how do you define friends?
Yeah, so I spent a good amount of the pandemic in Houston with my family, and I really, really reconnected with 2 friends in college. One of them is the only amazing best friend I made in college. His name is Haris.
Yay, shout out to Haris.
So that was one gem that I left college with, aside from, a job and the degree and all of those sort of hard skills, I would say, or hard tangible wins, was that friendship. And then I reconnected with one of my with a guy that I actually wasn't really close with in college. His name is Assasin. And what I define as friendship is a couple of things. You can really be yourself around that person. You can say whatever you want and really like be as silly and foolish and feel like you can be that person and they're not going to judge you.
Be you.
Yeah, be you. And then the second thing is, I truly believe that like a good friend doesn't have to fit every single thing in your life. They might not be the one to go partying with you. They might not be the travel person, but they might be someone that you could go walk in the park with and have an amazing meal with. So I feel like identifying like activity wise, a friend doesn't have to fit everything, but do they fit 1 or 2 things that give you joy? And for me, like those 2 friends, I feel like I can like eat with them and I can travel with them. I might not be able to go like do outdoor activities and hiking with one of my friends, Haris, but I feel like he really, really gives me a lot of joy in a couple of things that really matter to me in life. And so, yeah, I think that I really started to peel the layers and want to invest more in friendship. I think I also realized that good friendship, now that I've been really spending a lot of time investing in that, you have to give a lot. And I feel like I had a lot of expectations that people should do this for me, people should do that for me. And I realized, actually, I think that's one of the things that I learned from you, Golan, because I think you are one of the people that has the best relationships that I've seen in any one of the people that I know in my life. You have mastered what it means to be there for people and for people to trust you and for them to lean into you and for it to be mutual. And I feel like
That's
I just
partially
started.
true. That's
I just
partially
started realizing that you have to give a lot in friendships, and then people start leaning in even more. But you have to take that first step of extending that. You know, if you see, that a friend is going through a bad day, maybe you get them something, or you just, tell that person, hey, I really want to hang out with you. I'm gonna stop over. You should come over to my house, and like extending yourself that way. Or if a friend is feeling sad, maybe going to them versus going to a party. I think these are realizations that I didn't even have. I didn't even begin to touch on these realizations before COVID. And I think I am so proud that I've walked away through this pandemic with having this realization. And I didn't have it in college. And sometimes I look back and I'm like, college was a perfect playground to do this, right?
Exactly. That is what I was going to ask you this. I was going to ask you this. So usually college or time when you actually socialize, the time when you grow your social circle and get more friends as well, right? And you're saying COVID is the time when you actually realize how friendship is important.
I feel like
when
I really
you cannot
took
meet people. So how did you navigate it through this realization?
I feel like I took friendship for granted in college. A lot of what I wanted was a network.
Okay.
And there's a very big difference between network, friendship, and community. I would say network is very transactional. I would say community is something that you build and invest in together, and you grow that community, and you basically harvest that community. And I would say friendship is taking that to the very next level, where you're there for people, they're there for you, can truly be yourself, and you can share experiences together. I really only wanted a network in college, and it took me where I wanted.
Where did you go college? Texas?
I went to school at University of Houston, and I was super, super focused on getting a job. And I got a job at Microsoft, one of the very few people to land a job in tech. But yeah, I guess through the pandemic, I realized that I could lean into people that I had slowly sort of tapped that with, and I could really turn that network into friendship. And then B, I also felt like I really wanted to meet people during COVID. You and I became friends during COVID.
Correct.
I asked for people to go on a trip with me to Lake Tahoe, and I really bonded with you. I bonded with another girl that I met at your party named Dipali, who I am slowly harnessing that relationship with. So I realized during COVID that I want to make friendship a top 3 priority.
Wow.
There's my personal self-worth and self-love. There's my career, and then there's friendship and other relationships, and that wasn't even on the list before. So I'm so proud to say that I've grown in that sense. The other thing that I feel like I also learned during COVID was the importance of health. Actually, I feel like very recently.
That should be the top priority, because that is what taught COVID taught us how important health is. If you're not healthy, if you're not staying healthy, if you're not putting in the hours to eat right, sleep right, and work out right, ultimately money won't be anything. You won't have anything if you don't have a good body.
Yeah, it was
if you don't
really
have
a big
healthy
shock.
body.
Actually, I went through one health thing very recently, where I had a problem with my skin, and I actually had to go to the ER, and that was a very shocking.
ER?
That was a very shocking moment.
Holy
and I was on antibiotics for 3 different cycles of antibiotics, and that was a really jolting moment. That no matter what happens in life, you have to take care of your health, because without your health, you are nothing. You can't expend energy into your goals, into your career, into friendships, anything without health. And not just physical health. I also invested a lot of time and effort in mental health. I started hypnotherapy, which actually I was really, really skeptical about.
What is hypnotherapy? Is it hypnosis or?
Yeah, similar to hypnosis, where you work with a therapist, a licensed professional who is basically professional and built their career on hypnosis, where they basically take you into a trance.
So is it like they rotate the clocks and tell you you're sleeping?
Kind of.
Really?
I did it virtually, and so.
But isn't that funny? How can you make people sleep just by the clock winding?
It wasn't the clock winding. So basically, the person that I work with for hypnosis, the true thing of hypnosis is for you to go into your subconscious and take away some of this subconscious programming that starts when you're 3 to 6 years old, that make you view the world and yourself a certain way through childhood trauma, relationship trauma. And a lot of talk therapy is a lot more on the surface, and in order to really get into the subconscious, you have to think through, you have to journal, but it still takes a really long time to get into the subconscious. Hypnosis is someone putting you into a trance state where they're basically talking in a way that basically makes you want to sleep. So there are different stages of sleep, and I'm not an expert, but like this gets you
There's
right.
REM cycle and like that.
So yes, so this gets you to a pre-sleep stage where the hypnotherapist asks you, what do you want to get out of this? And in that hypnosis session, you're basically in a deeper than meditation, and they're cultivating and they're fostering your mind and telling you these positive affirmations and making you visualize things, but in a very trance state. And you leave that hypnosis session feeling super like awake, and it's like not something that you like had to work and do journaling and put a lot of mental effort. You really relax in that session. And I look back and like one of the things I learned is he asked
but isn't that what weed does? Like it relaxes.
I have not done that, so I wouldn't know, but maybe. So one of the things that the hypnotherapist told me to do is through basically to associate rubbing my fingers with a positive self-image, and the whole hypnotherapy session was all about rubbing your fingers. And now every time I do that, it actually takes me out of a negative realm and physically makes me feel like I'm taking myself apart, and I can focus my mind on something different. So I did that, a lot of talk therapy. I am a huge advocate for people going to therapy and getting the help they need. As a South Asian woman, I feel like there's not a lot of people that talk about this. I feel like Never Have I Ever and a couple of the other shows that Mindy Kaling, a couple other people are putting on are now breaking that stereotype for South Asian people, and especially South Asian women. I think that the best gift that you can give yourself is therapy, is someone to actually talk to, someone to for you to figure out why are you thinking the way you are about certain things, what has caused you to view these things, what are your unconscious biases, and how do you unravel that?
Like
that is the best
symptoms.
gift you can give yourself. You don't have to be depressed, you don't have to be anxious to go to therapy. I still do therapy. I would say that I actually did suffer with anxiety. I'm coming past that, and I still think that having a therapist is something that keeps me grounded. I ebb and flow with my frequency, but as a South Asian woman, I'm an advocate, and I would say for anybody out there that's debating therapy, that's feeling like there's any sort of taboo, it doesn't matter what other people think. What matters is how much you will get to know yourself through therapy and the journey that you go through in therapy. No one has to know that you're doing therapy. No one has to know that journey.
Correct.
I am doing this, and I'm saying this on the internet because I want to be an example for other people. You know, actually, if I could go back, I participated in the Miss India Washington pageant.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Shit, how can I forget this? I forgot this in our intro. By the way, she's also Miss India Kirkland Washington.
Oh, thank you.
Yay!
One of the things,
yeah, that's why, and that's one of the reasons why. Because she's so pretty, she's so well talented, she's so well spoken, she's such a baller girl that she had to win that title. There was no doubt about that.
So one of the things that I talked a lot about in the time that I participated in that competition or in that pageant was basically empowering women in STEM. I would have changed that angle and empowered women with mental health awareness. Mental health awareness is so important, knowing that you have resources. And you know what? Therapy has become a lot more accessible. There's things like Talkspace, Cerebral that are making therapy so accessible. You still have people that charge $250 an hour, but there are ways to get accessible therapy.
I have one contrary opinion on this. I realize that you said that therapy is taboo, and in some parts of the world it is still taboo. And one of the things that US is doing amazing is that with the insurance coming in, insurance kicking in, it is making people more accessible to get therapy solutions for each and every mental health issue.
Even without
But I was talking
insurance.
to my parents very recently, and I had this mind awakening realization about India. So up until now, I always used to think that, hey, therapy in India is a big taboo, and like people keep saying that, okay, if you're going to therapy, maybe your mental issues or you're pagal, right? But that's not the case. Do you know why people in India don't go to therapy? It's because it's super expensive. Therapy is the medicine for rich. What ends up happening is, back in India, like back in countries which are like very developing right now, they cannot afford as in most of the salary goes in survival than for things that are super like basic like mental health issues and all. So that's why they're like, okay, that's not taboo. It's just that we don't have enough money for, like, it's either food versus a therapist, and they'll obviously choose food. They'll be
I
like,
think
okay,
that's such an amazing point, and it's something that this society needs to look at, and something that we need to really
healthcare needs to fix this somehow.
Healthcare is very skewed in that sense, and I feel like everyone should have access to therapy. Everyone should have access to talk to somebody without feeling judged, and to get the adequate help for them to be the best version of themselves. There are solutions that are coming out that are cheaper, like Talkspace and Cerebral, that actually are making it a little bit more accessible. I would love to see this area of society progress in a way that everyone, like, they have access to, well, not everyone, but in the US maybe have access to certain rights. I would love to see that people have access to the ability to talk to somebody and to feel like they can be who they are.
So this is where I have a follow-up. You mentioned something about friends being people who you can be yourself with, right? So can therapy progress into a way where you can start having a group of friends or a group of people who you are so super comfortable around that you can actually share mental issues with, and maybe people can be taught how to help people with mental issues and ask them or provoke them with like good questions so that they themselves can figure out the entire stuff without going to a therapist. Do you think this can be a solution in future?
I absolutely think that there is some merit to working with a professional, but I definitely feel like your support system is so much of who you are and can really make a difference. And so if you feel like you can be that catalyst in your friend group to start talking about deeper topics, and again, this is something that I really started realizing during COVID, is that you have to be able to figure out the right way to have vulnerable conversations. I think it's amazing to be sorry.
It's all good.
I'll drink some water.
Yeah, just have some. Hopefully we can get ICE to sponsor our videos sometime soon.
But yeah, I was going to say that vulnerability with people who are not professionals is a double-edged sword, and you have to do it in a way that is very smart and tactical, which what I'm saying might rub people the wrong way and might be a difference of opinion, but I feel like vulnerability is a two-way street. Someone has to start it. So have that courage to be that catalyst, but start it in small waves.
Like how?
You don't want to be that
how
person.
Would you approach it?
You don't want to be that person that goes to a party and meets somebody for the very first time and tells them this really heavy bearing stuff about your life, and you don't even know that person.
They'll probably freak out.
Yeah, so you really want to, one of the things that I actually was talking to my therapist about is how do you build meaningful relationships? And, I'm a huge advocate for being vulnerable. I really love sharing who I am. But she was like, you have to do that in small waves and small doses where you leave room in the physical room for that other person to react, to think, to come back and share who they are as well. And that's something that is a little bit nuanced in these type of relationships. When you're working with a professional, you don't have to worry about that. But there are dynamics with friends where it is mutual, and you want them to feel comfortable. You want them to slowly take it into small doses. The other thing is, I don't ever want to see somebody opening their heart and this happens, and then that person never reciprocates or they disappear, right? And so you really want to do it in a way where you are starting to do it in small doses where you can really build trust. And you have to feel like your story and who you are is worth it, and you don't just give it to somebody on a silver platter. So if you are going to have those deep and depthful relationships with people, which there are very few, and now I'm starting to form that very few with people, where it does take a long time, where you do a little bit of a litmus test, you dip your toe in the water, you see how it feels. Is your toe acclimated? Is it burning? Do I need to take it out? Do I need to adjust the temperature? Can I put it back in? You need to do that before you reveal the entirety of who you are. And that is the word of caution I would give to people who are wanting to have that sort of relationship with friends. I do think that, it's amazing if you can
What
have
about
that.
family?
I
Can
feel like
not-
family, depending on the way that you grew up, the circumstance, the cultural influence, how, educated, not educated your parents are, where they are in terms of progression, or, your cousins or your family. It is, again, something that you want to feel the waters out for, because you never want to feel like you're not accepted in your family. And I think it's something that you really have to tease through and work with and see how much you can really push that boundary. And so I say this because I feel like I've learned that way, where I've really shared who I am, and then I've seen that relationship go the other direction. So absolutely be smart, be tactical, test the waters, and then slowly start to evolve that relationship over time, because you want to see that person as well, and you want to know that your story and what you're going to share is worth it, that somebody has sort of delivered up to that trust for you to share that. And so that is a little bit of a selfish, more self-worth view, but I would encourage people to have a balance, and take this with a grain of salt, but have a balance. That would be my message.
But that's so powerful. Wow. Like you opening about this, and like this will actually empower so many of our viewers, because many people till date, I know, they don't talk about their mental issues. Like, leave people, even I till now, like I went to therapy like last year for a couple of months, and up until then I used to think that, hey, I am happy, I should not be going to therapy. But when I went to therapy, I got to know that, okay, therapy is not just like go when you're depressed or something. You can go to therapy for self-realization. It's just like you're peeling yourself as like an onion, and it keeps layering out one at a time until you find who your fundamental self is. And once you're super comfortable, and once you know who your fundamental self is, you'll start loving yourself more. You'll be more accepting of, like, okay, these are my flaws, it's fine, everyone has flaws. And once you get validated by a therapist that, okay, these are the problems which are very common, and literally everyone goes through them, then you feel like accepted in the world that, hey, I am not the only one who is going through these issues. Because once the issues creep in your mind, right, what ends up happening is you're like, okay, why is this only happening to me? Why is everyone around me super happy? Because
and often people don't, on Instagram, and people don't talk about those things, you know. One thing that I realized actually being on social media, which me being on this podcast is a huge leap of faith into going against this, is like, people do show their dream life. They show what they want you to see. It's curated. It's an art form.
Exactly.
Social media is truly a beautiful art form.
I love it. I like people who say social media is not a is a curse. I totally disagree with that.
It's an art form. You can make it what you want it
exactly.
to be. I started to see videos of people crying on social media, like girls actually filming themselves crying. And initially when I saw this, it was so jarring. And then I realized, wow, people are trying to make waves to show the world that it's not all perfect all the time. And I think this is a struggle that women or girls have a lot, where you look at other girls who post amazing pictures, who post amazing stories, and you constantly feel like you're not good enough. Or you see advertisements for products and skincare and hair care, and you constantly feel like my hair needs work, my skin needs work. So I feel like the best thing that I've learned through therapy, that my therapist told me, the first therapist that I worked with, is give yourself the gift of forgiveness and self-acceptance. Wow. It's okay to feel like your skin doesn't look good all the time. It's okay to feel like, I've put on a little bit of weight and I'm like working towards being healthier. It's okay to feel like you made mistakes. It is okay. It is okay.
It is okay. Yeah,
but because the world has not normalized that. But slowly and surely I'm seeing these girls do this. Like, I think Sundas Khalid, who is a social media influencer who I really like, who is a Pakistani Muslim woman. She actually just posted a reel of herself.
What was it about?
Showing herself crying and then showing herself having a really good moment after that. And it's like, life is so fluid. You can cry one day and you can be really happy the other day, but no one shows those moments, and they're slowly starting to come out. So anytime you feel like really bad about yourself, just tell yourself, it is okay. I am here and I lived through this moment, and I can make the next moment what I want it to be. And I think, Golan, I have actually shown you a very vulnerable side, and I thank you for being such an incredible friend, for being there with me, for showing me the importance of friendship, and for making me realize that it's okay. It's okay to forgive, and it's okay to make mistakes, and What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
It always makes you stronger. That's totally true. Have you seen the TV show called Friends?
I am not so much into pop culture,
So-
so
so-
people
so-
are gonna.
so- no.
I haven't seen all the episodes.
Okay, so I'll give you a 10-second premise or context about what Friends is. Friends is a show about a time in your life when your friends become your family. And the show started off when people are in their 20s. Some of them are about to get married, some of them get divorced, some of them are dating, but the shows end right at the crux of a point when they have a child. Okay, and it perfectly summarizes over the 10 seasons that until you have a family and after you graduate from college and you're in your job life, right, you don't interact with your family a lot. You interact with your friends more, and that's the time when you actually have to succumb to a point where you enclose yourself with people who are like your family, who will be there for you, supporting you no matter what. And that is what the show encompasses. It's obviously a sitcom, and it's super funny as well. But that is what the prime feeling about the Friends is. So I really hope that you end up watching this, because this will like help you a lot. And coming to the point of Friends, right? You said you mentioned something about like friends and all. You moved from Texas to Seattle, and one of the things that I feel that people in Seattle constantly complain about, and I got super lucky in this domain, that people say that making friends in Seattle is super difficult, and maybe I got super lucky in the fact that all my college friends came to Seattle. All the friends from my previous company back in Madison also ended up coming here. So for me to grow my social circle, it was very easy to navigate myself, and also the fact that I'm an extrovert makes it easier for me. But how was it for you? Was making friends difficult for you in Seattle? If yes, how did you navigate your journey into making amazing plethora of friends that you have right now?
Yeah, so again, I'll go back to like that journey that I talk about, is that you start off with a network, you grow a community, and then you find friendship.
Correct.
So I would say it's taken me 3.5 years to find friendship.
How long have you been in Seattle for?
3.5 years. Or 3 years to find friendship. So a couple things that I'd give to somebody who's moving to a new city is, I do think that starting off with breath is really helpful, and like trying to put yourself out there and meet people.
Like
I think
how?
basically the best thing I would tell somebody, if you haven't done this, is go live by yourself and move to a different city.
Isn't that like, if you go live by yourself, won't that be more difficult for you to like interact with more people?
Well, I'm just saying in general, like one of the things that I think was the best thing I did for myself was to leave Texas and to move to a completely new city, and it just like reframed that I am confident, even though there's been times where I felt very, very the opposite. At the end of the day, when you sleep at night, you're like, yo, I overcame this day, and I did that.
Oh, nice.
So I would say for anybody who's contemplating leaving the city that, or the hometown that they grew up in, or they're contemplating doing something on their own, just do it, because I think it really makes you feel at the end of the day you will do it, and it makes you feel like, wow, I did that. I literally did that. And it is so hard. It's so hard to leave your comfort zone. I mean, I had my entire hub of like my direct family in Houston. All of my friends, a lot of people who went to college where I went to college, typically stay in the Houston area. And I was just dying to leave, because I was dying to see, what does that feeling feel like, where I have to start from scratch, or I have to meet people, and I'm not in a classroom, and it's not handed to me in a silver platter. I like to say college is basically that silver platter where you get to meet people on a silver platter, and you get to form friendships very organically. But it's not like that when you're working an adult and you move to a new city. So a couple of tips that I would say is leverage Meetup, leverage Facebook groups. Facebook groups have been incredible for me.
Dude, do you know, I did not know about the Meetup app up until like last month. Like, that is when I realized that there's an app called Meetup where people can actually form groups. This was one of my startup ideas back in like 2018. I was like, why do people not do this? But then someone said that Facebook is already doing that, and very recently I got to know that there's an app called Meetup as well. And
so
this
Meetup
is how it shows that I was so lucky that I didn't have to like go outside of my clique or my social circle to find like,
Meetup is really amazing. So I really leveraged that. I really leveraged Facebook groups, and then I really leveraged Microsoft. Microsoft is an incredible company with so many people, and I just dove heads into.
Wait, isn't that every company in Seattle? Like
I don't know. I
Amazon.
haven't worked for every company in Seattle.
So
I can only
how does
say
like
from my
working at
experience.
Microsoft like increase your network? Like can you
I'm not saying Microsoft increased my network. I'm saying that I took advantage of the opportunity that was given to me.
how though?
I really leveraged meeting people through Microsoft. There's
wow,
a
okay.
young Microsoft full-time group. I put myself in the Pakistani Association. I put myself into throwing morale events, planning events, and I really took advantage of attending happy hours, and I met a lot of people. And slowly from there, I started building a community with people that I would hang out with, and I would plan events for like a smaller group of people. And now I've cherry-picked, and I've really found people that I see an amazing, depthful relationship with. So it really did start by putting myself out there. And I would say for the first 2 years, I invested. And I would say when you move to a new city, if you don't come in with people that you know, and to be completely frank, I knew one person here when I graduated out of undergrad. I didn't have a ton of a network, is what I'd say in Seattle. So I had to build that completely from scratch. And so I really put myself out there. And there were times where I would go to happy hours and I wouldn't know what to say, and I would have to train myself and figure out, how do I have an effective conversation with people? How do I ask intriguing questions? How do I really figure out, is this a person that I want to continue talking to, or should I go talk to other people? And then how from there do I leave that event and organically see if this connection is going to go anywhere, and how do I take that into a community? And all of this took a lot of trial and error, a lot of seeing and feeling out. But you do have to put yourself out there. You know, I planned a lot of events. I attended a lot of events. And so I would say it was the most thrilling and the most fulfilling experience to come to Seattle not knowing a single
Just
soul,
one person, yeah.
and then going to where I am today. And so I would say for anybody that is thinking about doing that, and I will say the thing that I had on my side is I am very extroverted. I do love talking
I was going to come
people.
to that.
But even if you're not extroverted and you don't like talking to people, I think meetups and these type of things will force you out of your comfort zone. When you go to a meetup, you're in a situation where people will make you do intros, they'll make you talk, and then you start putting yourself out there.
To a meetup. I think I should go to a meetup, just to experience how it feels like in a setting where no one knows each other, and how they start growing their bonds organically.
And it's really easy to see on social media and see, oh my God, this person moved and they're just thriving. Yes, but with every post like that comes hundreds and tens and hundreds of interactions that have fallen through or have been a work in progress. And so I'm here to say that it took work. And again, I want to be so real and so honest with my journey that sometimes you get lucky and things come to you, and other times you do have to put in a lot of effort. And this is just in the topic of friendship. You know, I'm sure, Golan, there are things that didn't come naturally to you that you had to put a lot of effort into.
So many things.
Maybe friendship came naturally because you had a bunch of alumni. And
I got lucky. That's it. I got lucky.
You got lucky, but they happened to also come to Seattle, right? You happen to have all of those amazing friends come to Seattle. There are probably a lot of other things that you've had to put a lot of effort into. So never look at someone and think, oh, it was just like that for everything they do. No, people do put in a lot of work. And one of the coolest things you can ask somebody is, what is one of the things that you've worked the hardest for, put in the most amount of effort for in life? Tell me about that. And just see what people say. Ask them the next time you go to an event, hey, what is something that you've had to really put a lot of effort into?
Okay, let me ask you this question.
Come naturally.
What didn't come naturally to you, and what is the most amount of effort that you've put in ever in your life? And don't answer friendship because you already covered that, but something other than that.
I would say it was becoming a PM, becoming a product manager.
Wow.
I didn't start as a PM. In fact, I didn't even know what PM
how
was.
did you grow in Microsoft? Can you?
So I didn't even know what being a product manager was. I graduated, I had no idea what the word PM was. I feel like I grew up with a lot of business influence. My dad has always been a small business owner. My brother majored in supply chain. My sister has an MBA. And so I wasn't really educated too much about the whole STEM world. So when I did my undergrad, I did it in business. And then I slowly started realizing, oh my God, there's this whole world of science, technology, engineering. What is the medicine?
Maybe.
STEM. And so I learned about PM when I graduated from undergrad and when I started Microsoft. Actually, I started in a supply chain role, and I realized it wasn't really something that was playing to my strengths. And I think the best thing that you can do is when you're struggling in a role, really look and say, is it me or is it the role? And sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's that the role is just not a fit for what your strengths are, right? And I was spending a lot of time on Excel and spending a lot of time doing a lot of really tactical, deep analysis stuff. And I realized that's not really my strength. I like talking
boring?
to people. Not boring. I just felt like not boring at all. I just felt like it wasn't playing up into my strengths. Like my strengths was not like really digging into spreadsheets and like analyzing numbers to that degree. My spreadsheet was working with people, bringing a project to life, bringing people together, like driving clarity, getting people excited about things. And so I realized then that there's this whole world of a role called PM. And I had a really, really hard journey. It was not straightforward. I had to first take a role into a PM role that was within supply chain so that I could keep the domain and still add value. So I didn't switch 360. My dream was to work on like basically consumer facing products and like do something completely radically that excites me, like a communications or a productivity tool, but it was a really far jump. So I took a role within supply chain, and then I transitioned now to where I am on teams. A lot of effort into understanding technology, into understanding what does it mean to be a good PM, like how do I talk to engineers, how do I make myself seem valuable in front of engineers. That was really, really difficult. That didn't come naturally, and I think now I've really settled into that PM is what I want to do in my life. Put in a lot of hard work. Also put in a lot of hard work to get into Microsoft. I literally knew that Microsoft wasn't going to come to my school for career fair. So I guess what I did is I applied to a program called the Harvard Summer Venture and Management Program, which my ex-roommate applied to, and I watched her go to it. And
wait, so I did not even mention that you're a Harvard alumni.
For a 1 week program.
But still, you're a Harvard alumni.
So I went to this program and I met amazing people that were so not zero sum. And I'll touch on how I've changed my mentality from being zero sum to growing out of that. But I met so many people who gave me so much advice. They were like, dude, if you want to work in tech, you need to go to Society of Women Engineers, National Association of this, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. And I was like, I had all these limiting beliefs. Oh my God, I'm not a Hispanic. I'm not Black. National Association of Black MBAs, National Association of Black Engineers. And I had all these limiting thoughts. I'm not Black. I'm not Hispanic. I'm not an engineer. And that's when I had to tell myself, who cares?
Exactly.
I want to go meet people. I'm going to go sell myself. I'm going to go here and I'm going to meet these people and I'm going to tell them how passionate about my story and how passionate I am about Microsoft and about all these other companies. And so I got on a bus to Austin. I asked my friend if I could crash on his couch. And then I took an Uber to the Society of Women Engineers conference. I arrived at the tail end of day one. I didn't even know that there's a way to maneuver conferences. Basically, with conferences, you need to get all your networking done the first day. Second day is all interviews. If you try to get interviews on the second day, you won't, and then the conference is over. If you didn't land interviews the second day,
you're done.
It's
a waste of 3 days.
I landed one interview, which was Microsoft. I reached the conference at the tail end and I went and just sold myself to the Microsoft booth. I'm like, oh my God, I heard you guys hit refresh from Satya. I love Microsoft. I know you guys just came out with the Surface Pro. These are all the things I am so excited about for Microsoft, and they gave me an interview. So again, I had to work towards that. I think that I played on my strengths, but I also put in a lot of effort. So one thing I'll say is that there's two ways to think about like life and your life. Either you can really fixate on your weaknesses, or you can really catapult on your strengths. I think the best thing is to be aware of your weaknesses and make them manageable, and then catapult the shit out of your strengths.
Yeah, it is. That's
so for
true.
me, my strength was the fact that I had passion, I had grit, I could go and sell myself in front of a recruiter. And then I wasn't a STEM major. I wasn't someone who majored in engineering. I was a supply chain major, and I still went to the conference and I sold myself.
That's amazing. So you're a woman in tech right now, right? And then one of the things that I wanted to touch upon with you was there have been constant discussions for the last decade that how women in tech is something the balance in proportion in male versus female is still not there, and there is a constant struggle that women still have to face in the technological world right now. Up until your experience right now in the entry level basis, do you feel it's super tough for a girl or a female to navigate in technology versus a man? If yes, how have you because I feel that you're a baller girl and you've succeeded yourself in a role where you've not only switched job families, you've got promotion as well, and everyone speaks highly of you, right? So you're obviously doing something really good.
To be completely frank, I have not felt that prejudice against men versus women.
Okay.
And maybe I'm
so
super
do you think
lucky
are you lucky, or
sense.
do you think are you lucky, or are things getting better right now?
I truly feel like I think I see a lot of progress, and I feel like the things that I have faced is people interrupting, and I feel like you have to stand your ground and say, hey, I wasn't done yet. I just want to make sure I get a chance to finish. Actually, on the other hand, I feel like I've cut people a lot off. So I feel like
Do you know of a concept called repeated?
No.
Not repeated. Repeated.
Repeated?
Yeah, repeated is a term which has been coined informally, which defines the fact that when a girl says something in a meeting room, that thing is ignored. But when a man says the same thing, he's given applauses and he's given a promotion.
Yeah.
So not repeated.
I have not felt this. What I have felt prejudice, or what I felt is really hard to overcome, is not coming from a technical background.
Okay.
And I want to say to everyone, you don't have to have a CS degree to land a job in tech.
Correct.
You don't have to. I feel like for the longest time I thought, oh my God, if I'm not an engineer, I can't succeed in tech. And I will strongly encourage, I think STEM is amazing. If you feel like that's where you want to go, you can't go wrong doing STEM. But I will also advocate, and I will also stand here as an example for somebody that didn't major in tech that has made it, or majored in computer science, or has majored in any of the STEM fields and has made it. So I want to encourage you, if you feel like your passion isn't in coding, or if your passion isn't in one of those fields, I want you to still know that you can carve a path for yourself. Okay. And I want this bias to go away that you have to have a tech background. I think I learned a lot of things on the ground. I will say I don't code or touch code at all, but I learned, system design. I learned those sort of things that made me able to stand a little bit of my ground in the room. But for anybody out there who feels like they're not good enough because they didn't major in CS or they didn't major in tech, I feel like product management, product marketing management, technical sales, customer account management are all fantastic paths that you can go through without a technical background. And as a PM, I want to encourage people of diverse backgrounds. I think if you're a psych major, you'd be a fantastic PM.
Exactly.
Your ability to understand people, your ability to understand
customers,
to understand customers. Please, for anybody out there, think about tech, even if you're not a tech major. You will have to put in a lot of effort, because I think we've not come here as a society. I think that there still is a huge bias towards people who have technical degrees. And in a way, it kind of makes sense. It is really hard to get a CS degree. It is really hard to go through 4 years of a computer science degree, maybe versus a business degree. And haters going to hate for me saying that, but it is true. So you will have to work harder. But I encourage people to do that.
Exactly.
That is a prejudice I felt like I had, is that, but you don't have a technical background. And
doesn't matter at all. As long as you're creating
those sorts
impact,
of things.
Nothing else matters. As the song says, right? Nothing else matters. Like, as long as you're giving impact on the work, nothing else matters. Whether you have a degree, whether you've been like a coder for 100 years, nothing matters except for your work that you're doing currently. Something that you touched upon is like, even if technology is not a passion, you should still think about pursuing STEM, right? Is technology a passion for you? And the reason I ask this is because I have a follow-up question to this.
Yeah, I would say I really like seeing the impact that technology has on people.
But are you passionate for it?
Like building it myself?
Yes.
I wouldn't say I'm passionate about building tech. Okay. I'm passionate about releasing tech. I'm passionate about finding the right problems to solve for people and how technology can aid in that. But I can't sit here and say that I'm passionate about building with my hands, building, coding, and forming solutions. Okay. I am someone who likes to think about problems, and that's what a PM does, and figure out, thinking about the impact that my team can have on solving those problems. And I can't say that I'm someone that likes to build solutions.
Okay. The reason I ask this is, if today, for example, if there is You know Doctor Strange, right, from Marvel. So he there's a new Spider-Man movie coming about a metaverse, right? And it's about multiple verses that are there, and like things, how can like things work in like different parallel universes. So say suppose you're in a parallel universe where everything in technological domain that you have right now is snatched away from you. What do you think you're passionate about, and like how like that you can convert into a job that can earn money for you? If technology is not the option available for
Okay,
you,
so if
what
I could
what will
have,
you work in?
if I could have alternate careers, I think I'd want to be an actress.
Okay.
Seriously, because I feel like if you're able to channel,
Like a Bollywood actress or
just any
a
actress,
theater actor?
any actress.
Okay.
I feel like if I would love to take on roles for things that are not, that have been underrepresented, whether it's,
Okay.
you know, playing someone that is suffering with this, or playing someone that has this type of personality,
Why?
and giving representation and a voice and coloring all these different situations in the world. I feel like acting is such a powerful tool, and it's
It
super
is.
underrated.
It super is.
I think I would love
It's
to be
not
an
easy at
actress,
all. It's not
to
easy at
portray
all.
emotion and to portray a story,
Uh-huh.
and to be able to carry out somebody's vision that they wrote in a way that can touch people's hearts and like leave them thinking about, at least even 5 minutes after the movie's over, oh, that was so interesting, or that really made me laugh, or that uplifted my day.
Yeah.
I think I'd want to be an actress, and I'd want to pick roles that are super underrepresented, that I can portray a story of somebody that feels like they haven't had their voice in the world. Actress maybe, or I would feel like I'd want to I love planning events.
Okay.
I love bringing people together.
Uh-huh.
I love feeling like I can connect people. I love seeing the face on seeing the reaction on people's faces when I plan something that they've never done before, or they got to meet people, or they got to laugh, or they got to, you know, hike, or they got to do something that they haven't done before. Maybe they've done it 100 times and they love it even more because they came to something. I love planning events. I plan hikes. I love planning birthdays. I love planning my own birthdays. I love planning, like literally I planned a James Bond themed birthday party because I wanted everyone
Pictures
to
here.
dress up, and I wanted them to feel fucking amazing and powerful that night. Not just me. I wanted everyone to feel amazing. I love planning events. I think I would do something like that where
So
I
will you
could
create
plan
a
events.
startup, or will you like get into event management?
I really don't know. I don't know.
So the reason I'm asking this is like people should usually follow passion, because when you start working in something you're passionate about, work becomes like second nature to you, and you don't
Said
feel like you're
from the
working.
Hassan Habib himself.
Said by Hassan Habib
Episode
himself,
2.
right? So if you're so passionate about these two things, right? Have you started doing like I understand that you got into the beauty pageant, and maybe that was one of the first steps to getting into that sort of a domain, but have you done anything else to touch upon whether that is a passion or whether it's an alternate career that you might want
Yeah,
to
I
pursue
would
full
say the
time?
beauty pageant was a very big risk and like something putting myself out of my comfort zone. That is not an area that I want to go into. I don't want to
Okay.
become a model. I don't want to become the next most,
But was that you touching like toes, like treading
No.
water to see how it
no.
feels like?
That was me testing myself and pushing myself out of my
Then
comfort
why
zone.
aren't you getting into like modeling
The
and
only
acting?
I did improv and I
Okay.
loved it, and I felt like, wow, I did an improv class and I
Uh-huh.
felt so cool. I felt like, oh my God, throw me anything and I'll play it with you and I'll throw it back at you. And it
Uh-huh.
taught me a lot about trust. I don't think the pageant was for me a way to grow into acting.
Okay.
It was really a way for me to say I put my mind to something that was scary and I did it. That was the sole reason.
Wow.
I think it's so hard to walk on stage and carry clothes and to walk with confidence. Like, that's a scary thing. But I wanted to do it. I wanted to face my fear. I wanted to get on stage. That's why I did that. I don't see myself pursuing a path in modeling. If that is that happens, cool. But that's not something I see myself doing. I would love to perform at a play once a quarter. I'd love to go to the Seattle, Shakespeare Academy and
Uh-huh.
take some classes or take some singing classes.
You
I'm
should
not
take
trying to
singing
become
classes.
I wouldn't say I'm trying to become famous. I'm
Uh-huh.
trying to have that as a creative outlet and represent a story or represent a message. That's
Mm-hmm.
all I whether I become the next best actress in the world, that would be amazing. But if I could do a play a quarter, I would be happy. I also really like planning events. I love seeing the joy. Another thing I could see myself doing is opening up a restaurant or a coffee shop. I
Wow.
want people to come. I just want to see people
Like any other a coffee shop or something like a theme based?
Oh my god, I would love to do like a themed based coffee shop.
What'll be a theme be? Like
I want
Bollywood?
a coffee shop. No.
Bollywood coffee shop would be amazing.
I want to have a coffee shop where people basically get their drinks and their drinks have glitter in them.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Won't that poison them?
Edible glitter.
Oh, edible glitter.
I wanted to do the most Instagrammable coffee shop on the planet.
Instagrammable. That's the new click right now. Like I
would
think
love
you got
to have
validation
glitter.
from Blake as well.
I would love to have glitter drinks. I want someone to come to this coffee shop and feel like, oh my god, I am just having the time of my life. I'm having an experience. Like
and uplifting their mood.
One of the things that blew me away was I went to the Museum of Ice Cream in Austin, Texas, and I died over it. I was like,
one of the
this
best
is
experiences
just
ever.
such a cool curated experience where you feel like you're taken out of your day to day. You feel like you're just in this like this high of a moment where you're eating ice cream, you're having fun, you're taking pictures, you're capturing moments. I'm a sucker for that sort of stuff. I'd love to have a coffee shop where drinks are engraved in glitter and people can feel like royalty when they have those drinks.
That's amazing. So Mahek, I have this one last question for you, and I want you to like really emphasize on a couple of things which people can take away from the podcast. So from you making sure that you're set up for success in the new city, like by making friends, by planning events, by making sure you're set up in career as well, by doing activities that you're super passionate about, these all require time, and you have limited time in hand, right? And you're still 25, so it's been like 3 years or 4 years out of college, and you did so much stuff already, right? So for people who are just starting college or like just beginning to like get out of college, what would your number one advice for them be? And how would you advise them to navigate their life post college or pre college as well? Like, what would your advice be to them?
I would say if you're in college, focus on networking, but also focus on relationship building.
No studies? Fuck studies.
I think that like when I look back at what I gained from college, it wasn't the textbook knowledge. It was a lot of the other things that came with that. The group projects.
Societal
knowledge. All of that sort of stuff. I would say like really focus on building a network, which means set yourself up for success to get a job out of college if that's what you want, or whatever you want to achieve. Have a goal when you go into college. Some people don't want to go into this capitalist machine and they want to do something else. Whatever it is that you're going to college for, equip yourself with the skills and the network to do that, but also focus on building relationships, because trust me, the people that you meet in college are amazing. Whether you see it or not, they've also qualified enough to get into the same position as you are.
Correct.
And they're also on this amazing journey and this amazing path. So try and build relationships. What I would say after college is educate yourself on a 401k, educate yourself on investing. You don't have to go do options. You don't have to go even trade individual stocks. Just read up on what is a 401k. Read up on how do I make sure whatever money I'm making out of college, whether it's you working for yourself or you working for a company, that it serves you well. You know, I want you to have fun. I want you to have an amazing time. I, by all means, have not saved every penny I've worked for, but definitely read up on investing, read up on a 401k. I'm so glad when I was in college, I attended a financial seminar. I met a mentor there till to this day, Matt, that I talked to, and I talked to him once a quarter, once every 6 months about my goals, about investing. He told me, Mahek, invest in a 401k, have an emergency fund, look at whether your company has an ESPP program, set aside some money after your emergency savings to put into, funds, and basically like put them into funds like Voog and all these funds by Vanguard.
Funds,
No, equip yourself with investment knowledge.
Correct.
You will thank me later. The other thing I'll say is if you get a chance to move to a different city, do it. If not, be creative in your city. Join a meetup. Go meet people that you have not met before that aren't in your social circle. I like to say that spend a 60-40 or 70-30. 70 or 60% of your time really cultivating and investing in relationships that you see a huge potential with, and 20-30% of your time meeting people that you might never see again.
Increasing your breadth.
That you might never see again.
Might never see as well.
Because they'll teach you, they'll open your mindset, they'll give you a taste of the world. And it's super important because, to be completely frank, the best opportunities I've had in life are from people that have been from that 20-30% of the time, or in college 90% of the time, that I put myself out there in those networking community like sessions. And now those people that I met in a network are now part of a community that I've cultivated. I have like a handful of 10 people that I can go to, you know, at Microsoft, outside of Microsoft, women, some who are not women. You know, I have a really amazing mentor in consulting, Ralph, who I still talk to. I have a couple people at Microsoft, a couple ex-managers, but all people that I reached out to that I said, hey, I want to do coffee with you. I want to do dinner with you.
So reaching out to people is more important.
Reach yourself,
right?
put yourself out there, even if it's not natural to you. Make it a goal to meet new people once a month.
That's amazing. Mahek, Hooda, this was an enlightening conversation for me. I did not know so many facets about your life, which you really opened about. On like, I super appreciate you because I feel like people in general in the day of like...
Oh, and the other thing, get a therapist.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah, get a therapist. But yeah, people in today's day and age, when they obviously value the glitter and the glam of the entire social media conference. They actually value authenticity as well. And something which I feel people will actually relate to is the authenticity with which you opened up and shared about things which people don't talk about, like therapy, like investing, like how to navigate your life and how difficult it is to like make a move from one city to another city with not knowing any single person out there.
And I want to say that I have had moments where I felt super low. I've gone through a big journey with managing anxiety that I can talk about more. I've had lots of nights where I felt super, super low. I felt plenty of times where I have not felt good enough. And if you're in that journey, just know that there's so many people that feel that way, and you just start to normalize it and feel like, you know what, it's okay for me to feel this way and I will get better. And so I don't want to glorify my experiences. I want to say that I've been through all of those things. I've been through those times where you cry yourself to sleep. I've been through those times where you feel like shit. And I've also been through the times where you feel super confident, and it is a journey and it ebbs and flows. Try and get to know yourself through therapy and normalize the fact that it's okay to not feel good sometimes.
That's so powerful. More power to you, girl. May you do the best things in life.
Thank you so much, Golan, for giving me this platform.
And then hopefully when you become like super famous or an actress, as you mentioned, maybe then I'll shoot up my podcast saying that, hey, I interviewed her first. So,
yeah. Thank you so much for this incredible platform. I really wanted to just share like reality, because I feel like, you know, one of the things that I feel partially guilty about, to be completely frank, is I have geared my social media in a way that is so curated. I am a part of those people that have created art out of my social media. Today, I want to break that free and show people the reality of what it is like being a girl, being me, being a South Asian woman, going through all these struggles. And I want to start sharing that, and I want to break that mold. And I encourage people, as I said, to slowly start doing that. So I'm very thankful for this amazing platform that you've given me today.
The pleasure was all mine, Mahek, Hooda.
Thank you.
People, thank you so much for like tuning into this episode of Golan's Garage. I know like this is Mahek Hooda's Instagram, this is a LinkedIn, this is a Facebook, this is a YouTube channel. Go subscribe.
I don't have a YouTube, but maybe one day.
I'll make sure you create this before this episode launches. But yeah, go follow her and hit her up with all her stories, and like you'll definitely like she'll reply to as many people as possible. But till then, peace. You gave me a joke, but I'll give you a fun fact. The jacket that I'm wearing today, right? This jacket is... have you seen the movie called Josh?
I think so.
So Josh is a movie. It's a very famous... Like every Indian that you ask, right? Have you seen the movie Josh? It's about two...
Oh God, I clearly don't fit that.
No. So it's two rival gangs who like fight along each other all the time. And Shah Rukh Khan is the member of the Bichu gang. And he's the leader of the Bichu gang. So he always wears jackets like this. So as soon as I saw the jacket, I'm like, okay, I'm wearing this for the podcast because I wanted to like us being rivals and us like fighting throughout the podcast.
Who's the heroine in that movie?
Aishwarya Rai. Don't you feel amazing now?
Yes.
Okay, Mahek.
Best way to kick off.
Okay, another thing that I want to ask you about is, right now, currently in Bollywood, what's your favorite song?
Okay, there's this song called Tattoo Waliye.
Okay.
That is coming out through the new Bunty and Bubbly movie. And in the spirit of that, I've put some fake tattoos.
Do you want to dance as well on the song?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. tattoo waliye, beauty queen guandi, tattoo waliye, beauty queen guandi. Dude, do you know you have an amazing voice? By the